All right, y'all, hold up, check this out. This man is strapped up for Thanksgiving. This is hilarious. Look at this guy. Oh my god. Anyway, I wanted to make a video on the pros and cons of all of the 1000s, right? I thought this would be a fun one to make. People ask me their opinions on these all the time. As a quick background, again, I am a nobody. My opinion is worth nothing. But I love hearing people's opinions on bikes, bike to bike, class to class, you know, whatever. So I really want to know where this guy's going. This guy is sick. That is such an insane amount of turkeys. So I'm going to give you the 2 biggest pros and the 2 biggest cons of every 1000. Okay, so we're going to start with the R1. This is my baby. This is what I'm sitting on right now. R1. The biggest pro to this bike is going to be, and these are going to be very nitty-gritty like things that I'm pointing out on these bikes. Okay, this isn't just going to be this one feels the fastest, this one, you know, whatever, right? This is going to be very like, you'll see. So for the R1, the #1 standout feature of this bike is going to be the throttle. I still can't get over how good the throttle is on this bike. It is such a good throttle. It is so responsive. It is so reactive. As you know, like, I hate play. There's no play in the throttle. It's perfect. This is, and think about this, right? How often do you get on a bike and the throttle is something that you recognize as either good or bad? Not often, right? It's pretty rare that a throttle itself will actually, you know, even register on your radar. Minus, like, for myself, where I just can't stand freewheeling. That's typically what'll get me. The throttle on this bike is so good. It's such a good throttle. This is the best throttle on any bike I've ever owned, and it's just amazing. It's a really, really, really good throttle. Okay. Next biggest pro on this bike is going to be the tiny little wheelbase. This short wheelbase on this bike is, and granted, I know it's very similar to the Gixxer. It's very similar to the base CBR 1000, but this thing just feels different. This is the shortest wheelbase out of all of them, and it might only be by like 0.1 inches, but it is just different. The way that this thing flicks is just different. It really does make this a completely different experience versus any of the other 1000s. Okay, this is where, like, the 600s, they have the shorter wheelbase. You always hear people talk about the 600s are more, they can carry more speed around corners, you know, whatever. A lot of that has to do with the actual wheelbase, the weight of the bike, the way it's weighted, right? The R1, in my opinion, rides, at least in turns, very similar to a 600. Very similar to a 600. So, short little wheelbase, fantastic. Got a cop? No. Fantastic wheelbase, okay? Now, on to the 2 biggest negatives for this bike. #1 is going to be the power. Right? I know that's going to piss some people off, but this is discernibly the weakest feeling in its class to me. Okay, I know I still need to get it flashed. I know I need to get an exhaust. I know I need to get it tuned. As this comes from the showroom floor, this is just by far the weakest feeling 1000 to me. Right now, it makes up for it in the noise. It makes up for it in other ways, 10 times over. But this is just power for power, horsepower for horsepower, just how it feels, the weakest feeling 1000. Okay, I just out of all of them. Okay, so there's your next negative. The next biggest negative on this bike is going to be the suspension. Okay, I think as far as the 1000s go, this is on the lower spectrum of suspension. The longer I've owned this bike, the more I've ridden it, the more I've tweaked the suspension. Right, I've mentioned this in more detail in a past video, but this suspension is just not great. It's just not. It's not bad, but it's just not great. And for how much I paid for this bike, it feels like this doesn't feel like $20,000 bike suspension, okay? So those are my 2 negatives there. Next up, we're gonna go over to my baby, the Gixxer, right? Let's go over here. I mean, just this fucking wheelbase, dude. Like, this thing is hilarious. But next one we're gonna go over to is the Gixxer 1000R, not just the base Gixxer. Don't buy the base Gixxer. The Gixxer 1000R is going to start off with the biggest pro being that it has the best mid-range out of any of them. All right, best mid-range, nothing comes close. it is from 6,500 to 7-ish, give or take. That bike wakes up, and it's that variable valve timing on it, right? But it wakes up in a way that none of the others do. As far as street riding goes, as far as if you're like a true aggressive street rider, one of the reasons it's so popular as a roll race bike, or even as like a drag bike, right? It's because it hits so much lower, it hits so much harder. It's got a punch that the others just don't. Sorry for the cut there. I had to catch my breath. Sometimes I'll just keep talking and I'll run myself out of breath. But that's the Gixxer standout. It's going to be that mid-range power. It's that variable valve timing. It is amazing. Okay. And the next biggest thing with the Gixxer is going to be out of the box, fresh off the showroom floor. I stand by it being the most capable out of all of them. The brakes are good. The suspension is great. The throttle is good. The mapping is good. The mid-range is great. There's no dead spots anywhere on that bike. It just comes off the showroom floor the most capable feeling out of all of them, which will, if you're to consider it as a price perspective, right? Because I know Gixxers famously were cheaper than everything. Now they're all pretty much in line. If you are looking for the most capable dollar per dollar bike, the Gixxer 1000R is it. It just is. I'll stand by that. Now, on to the negatives with the Gixxer, okay? The two biggest negatives. Number one is going to be the vibration, okay? With that mid-range, you are going to get some negative... Sorry, my camera cut off back there. That was wild. Anyway, the biggest negative of the Gixxer is going to be the vibration. It is the heaviest vibration out of all of them. Again, from my understanding reading into this, because of that variable valve timing, so what you get in mid-range power, what you get in just punch to the nuts, you lose in comfort. You lose in just easy going, right? That thing sounds like it sounds and feels like it's going to rattle your teeth out once you get above about 10k RPM. You can't see through your mirrors. You're going to feel it through every ounce of your body. It is going to be taxing. It is going to make it a tiring bike to ride. The vibration on the Gixxer 1000 is no joke. What did I have written down as my other negative for the Gixxer? I had mid-range. Vibration. It's negative for the Gixxer is going to be it just feels like an old generation bike. If you're going to buy one new off the showroom floor, you feel like you're buying something 10 years older than it is, okay? You get the Suzuki paint job, you get the old dash, which is still my favorite dash I've ever owned. However, right, comparatively, it does feel cheap, it does look cheap, it is not a premium look. The throttle itself, it's an old school heavy spring throttle. You'll know exactly what, if you come from an old bike and you buy a new one and then you go back to an old one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Very heavy spring. It just feels dated. Everything about the Gixxer feels dated. You aren't, even though you're buying the most capable dollar per dollar bike, what you're gaining with that, you're losing in modern comfort and just kind of features. Right, so there's the Gixxer. We're going to throw the Panigale in because the Panigale is the V4, right? It has that very unique power band. It is a very good feeling power band. There's something about it that's just special, right? There really is. I don't know how to describe it other than it is truly a special engine. It feels like you're riding something special. And I know I hate to give that kind of bullshit, no excuse, or no true descriptor of what it's like for those that have never ridden one. But there really is just something magical about that V4 and that Ducati. It's the multiple, it feels like it never runs out of power. It feels like it doesn't have kind of the low end weak feeling of the inline fours in the same way. It is just, it's unique, man. There's really nothing like it, right? Even against like the RSV4, I put that Panigale, this is a horrible, I didn't realize how bumpy this was. It's just a truly unique little feeling engine, right? That engine, with the way that the Panigale sits, the weight is very high on the bike, okay? It sucks for slow speed, but this is going to be its next biggest pro. That bike turns in easier, different, just it rides different, man. And if you are someone who really is, you live in the mountains, you live in Italy, you live in the Alps of France, you live in the mountains of North Georgia, West Virginia, whatever. You live out wherever, right? That bike turns different. Okay, that weight being up top, for better or worse, for, you know, your day-to-day riding, when the second you lean that thing over, you realize that this is a special bike. You realize that Ducati really did something different with the approach they took to that bike. It's truly just different. Now, that said, what are the biggest negatives to the Ducati? Biggest negative is going to be, one, is that it's hot as fucking balls. Right? You can't describe how fucking hot a Ducati Panigale is until you have seen one, felt one, touched one, ridden one. That thing, when you see people say, like, it's hot, you're seeing this from Panigale owners who are, you know, kind of downplaying just how fucking miserably hot that thing gets. When it's fucking hot, I mean, it will truly, your seat, right? If you get off the seat, your hand on the seat will feel uncomfortably warm. The seat, right? That's your ass. Your tank, it just, everything that your body touches is going to be so hot that when you go and park it, right? So I'm sitting at 222 right now. Panigale is going to be sitting around the same temp, but instead of, you know, exhausting the heat out of the bike, it feels like they designed it to exhaust it straight up into you so that you can be the fucking disbursement of heat. It's really, really fucking bad, man. It is such a hot running bike that it's just, it's fucking crazy. And the second part to this, or the second negative for the Ducati, is going to be that it is the least street friendly. It is the worst street friendly bike, okay? Right? Or so I've talked about, like, the R1 is a really, really, as far as 1000s go, comfortable, easy going, slow speed, right? Like, I can go 20 miles per hour, no problem. The Panigale's not that. The Panigale wants to keep going. And again, it's because you get the pro, right, of that engine. You get that very hot, strong character, very fun, just unique feeling engine. But fuck does it suck at slow speed, man. If you live somewhere with any traffic, those two coupled together will make that a very regrettable bike very quickly. You're going to be roasting to a point that you're probably literally going to be scared that you are burning your fucking legs. And you're going to be going, like, it feels like it's just constantly, you know, you're having to shut the throttle off because it just wants to keep going. Biggest negatives by far for the Panigale. Next up, we'll throw in the ZX-10. I love the ZX-10. Y'all know that I am famously the look of the ZX-10 is a huge thing. I just love the ZX-10, man. It is such a commanding bike. That is one that just, when it goes across the street, you can pick that thing out from a half mile away. It's just a great bike in terms of that. But what are the two biggest pros? The biggest pro on the ZX-10 is going to be the just refined feeling of that bike, right? It is just so refined. It is so smooth throughout the entire power band. Everything about that bike feels premium. You get it to Kawasaki, it's a Japanese bike, right? But it is truly a premium feeling bike for the price point of dollar per dollar. It is the most premium feeling bike to me in the class. I guess that's the best way to put that. It just is. It is a really, really nice feeling and a riding bike. The next biggest pro, this is a weird one, but the next biggest pro is going to be, oh, I made it to, where am I? The next biggest pro is going to be the rear brake. I know that's a weird one to throw on a 1000, but the rear brake on that bike is so good. It is so good. It's one of the best rear brakes on a bike that I've ever sat on ever. On a 1000cc sport bike out of everything. Very weird. Very against what the class is and its needs. I don't know why it had to have been an accident they made it as good as they did. But it is truly an amazing rear brake to a point that it will change the way you view rear brakes forever. It is an amazing rear brake. I guess I probably should have made the rear brake being just dog shit on the R1 as the other negative, actually. Whatever, too late. Yeah, it's an amazing rear brake. Now for the negatives for the ZX-10, okay? With it being this, it's got the longest wheelbase out of all of them. It is the most commanding. It is the street presence on that bike is very, very high. You're paying for that in nimbleness, okay? So where the R1, you have the short wheelbase, you have what feels like a very, very nimble bike, right? The Gixxer is like kind of the midpoint between the two. The ZX-10 is just, she feels big, right? The nicest way to put it. She's a big girl, okay? You feel it. It's a big tank. It's big. It's just a big bike. It feels big. The wheelbase is long. It rides like a longer bike. It is the least, I guess, it's the farthest away from a 600 in the way that it rides. If you're coming from that class, if you really enjoy that class of bike and you want a 1000, it's the farthest from that. Big bike, just good, right? In terms of if you want something that is very comfortable, that's very good. The reason it has cruise control, like cruise control on it, makes perfect sense with that longer wheelbase, what its use case could be for, right? But it just makes it kind of cumbersome in certain scenarios, right? And the next negative for the ZX-10 is that it's going to have the weakest low end out of all of them. It just does. That thing down low is dead. It is a high-strung bike that is meant to be ridden high. Now, this doesn't mean that it's bad around the city. It doesn't mean that it's a bad, you know, whatever. But it does mean that if you want to get high up, if you want to really feel the power of that bike, you're gonna have to go really high up in that RPM range, and you're probably gonna be pushing the luck on the speed limits around you. It is a really high-strung bike. Down low, she is very anemic feeling. Now, when people say when you flash it, it fixes that. However, it is still the highest geared out of all of them as it comes from the floor, right? So, you know, it's a high-strung bike. Hey, next up, we're going to go into the CBR 1000RR. This is the one. Biggest pro is going to be it's the smallest out of all of them. It feels like a 600 between the legs. It feels like it weighs the least. It's a great feeling bike between the legs. It doesn't feel like a 1000, and that makes it very special in how it rides and how it sits and how it feels. And the next biggest pro is going to be that it is the most traditional feeling inline 4, in my opinion, right? It feels like a 600 on steroids. You know, you've seen it described as that. That's truly what it feels like, and that makes it a very special, very unique, very fun bike. It does, okay? Now, for the negatives, it has the least amount of tech, to a point that it pisses me off. There's not a quick shifter on that goddamn bike. What the fuck are you doing, Honda? Right? You just dropped the Hornet, which comes with a quick shifter, on an $8,000 bike that I can't get over it. It pisses me off, honestly. So the biggest con, the biggest negative of the CBR 1000 is going to be that lack of tech. And I know it's the cheapest of the bikes. I know that, you know, whatever, right? I don't care. It is really lacking in tech. It's really lacking in tech. And the next biggest negative of the CBR 1000 is going to be, and I will piss some people off with this, that bike, for whatever reason, if you go sit on one with 10,000 plus miles on it, it feels the most worn in. It feels like it ages the worst out of all of them. You will find, and this is something that I find funny, but you will if you can go in almost any bike shop on the planet, you're going to find a CBR 1000RR used. It's going to have, say, between 10 and 20,000 miles. You're never going to see one on the street in your entire life. Somehow that guy put those miles on it. You don't know where. You don't know how it's possible, but he did. And you go and sit on that bike, it feels like it is old. It feels like it has not been maintained. And it's so consistent that I refuse to believe that it's just every owner does that. It's just something about those bikes doesn't feel like it has the premium feel of a new bike is just lost on those very rapidly. So I know that's kind of a stupid one, but that's just how it feels to me. So hey, next up we're gonna go with the Aprilia RSV4. I love this thing. Love the RSV4. Biggest pro on the RSV4 is it's going to have the most linear power band, right? So it goes like this. No exponential, which it does, but I mean, just for, you know, argument's sake here, it's the most linear feeling power band out of all of them. meaning it's going to kick you in the nuts low in the RPM range, right in the middle, and high. There's no weak points on that bike, and it sounds awesome, but there's no weak points on that bike. Makes it a very unique feeling super sport, super bike, whatever you want to call it. Very cool, very nice, very fun. The next biggest pro that I will give it, and I don't know why, but this, every time I sit on one, I just absolutely love the feel of the actual cockpit itself, right? When you are sitting on the bike, when you are looking down at an Aprilia, the tank, they have the little anniversary thing, the paint is always insane, the build quality is really good, but it's just the true cockpit of that bike is just special feeling to me. I don't know how else to describe it. Every time I sit on one, I think, fuck, maybe this is the time I actually, you know, buy one. And then I remember that I hate Aprilia dealers. So we're gonna go to the next negative here. And that's gonna be Aprilia's dealer network fucking sucks. Fucking horrible, right? There's not many of them. They famously are shit. They famously it's just bad, right? So funny enough, the dealership down here where I bought the Honda just got the rights to Aprilia, and it's a good shop. It's traditionally a Japanese shop, so this could be an exciting turn of events knowing that they got that and they aren't a standalone Aprilia Triumph, you know, whatever shop like is traditional. So we'll see how that progresses, but the shops fucking suck, man. They don't want to sell bikes. I don't understand. The reason he's got the rights is because the other guys went out of business. That blows my fucking mind. So that's it. That's the biggest negative there by far. And the second biggest negative on the Aprilia RSV4s is going to be the actual shape of the tank. Okay, so probably not going to be able to, let's see, we'll come back here. So if you scoot, right, you see the shape of this. The tank on the Aprilia RSV4, if you're someone who sits close to your tank, nuts to tank, half a fist, whatever the fuck you want to, you know, you do, if you have big legs, if your adductors are well developed, the tank shape just isn't going to fit you well. It's a very squared off end towards your nuts that just doesn't feel good, right? It just doesn't. Okay, I don't hit legs. Now granted, I've gone back in the gym, my legs are, we're getting there, hey, but if my legs get to where they have been in the past, I cannot comfortably sit on an Aprilia. My adductors get too big. Like, it's legitimately just, it feels like you have, like, you've got a cardboard box squeezed between your legs. So that's probably not going to apply to most people, but hey, I'm calling that a negative. There you go. Next up, we got the BMW S1000RR. Where are we going here? All right. Next up, we got the Aprilia, excuse me, damn it, it's going to be the S1000RR from BMW. The biggest pro of that bike, it's an S1000RR, right? It has BMW features. It's a BMW. The build quality feels good, right? I still consider it not the best out of the BMWs. I don't know why, but hey. But the biggest pro of the S1000RR is going to be that it is just it's so goddamn smooth. The quick shifter is amazing. It is just a smooth fucking bike, okay? To a point of fault where it's too smooth. The power, it lays on power too easily, right? Where you know, that's where you'll hear people talk about that, you know, it's kind of a sterile feeling or, you know, surgical feeling bike. It's because it's just so fucking smooth. Like, it's really fucking smooth. So that's going to be its biggest pro. Next biggest pro, which I already said it, but it's just going to be the technology package of BMW. I just fucking love BMWs. I love their screens. I love their tech packages. I think BMWs are, again, I'm a huge BMW fan. So, whoa, that's embarrassing. I am a huge BMW fan. So, yeah, take this how you will, but the tech package of that it's just better than all of the other 1000s, right? The maps, if you're a Bluetooth guy for your phone, Bluetooth, the actual screen itself, it's just a good premium feeling screen. BMW has the little, like, it's a little knob thingy. I'm sure there's a word for it, but it feels good. It's easy to use. You can use it with winter gloves, no problem. It's big, it's responsive. And of course that goes to all of the high-end BMWs, but I still got to throw that in, right? It's too good. Now, for the negatives for the BMW, it's going to be that is, again, kind of surgical feeling. It is just kind of, right, with that smoothness, you also lose the character, okay? And I hate to be the one to kind of agree with that line of thinking, but it's true. You do lose some character. It's nothing like the Panigale, where it has this very rough, unique, just kind of edgy feel to it. It's nothing like the Gixxer that has this just otherworldly mid-range that nothing else does, that you also just vibrate your, you know, prostate beyond belief riding the thing. It's too smooth. It's too refined. I'm in that camp. I'm calling that a negative. And the next one for me is going to be, I just don't fit on the BMW. Okay? Again, this is my list, so fuck you. But I just don't like the ergonomics of the BMW. I don't know why. That and the Panigale, out of the class, are the ones that fit me the worst. I just don't feel the best on them. I don't know why. I've never, with the Panigale, I know it's because it's got the widest handlebars, which I don't like. The S1000RR has pretty wide handlebars, but there's just something about it that we just don't click. We don't get along. You know, we're never going to be best friends. I've tried. You've watched my stuff. Like, I've tried. I went and test rode BMW 5-6 fucking times trying to convince myself to buy one, and I could not ever get myself to fucking do it. So, hey, that's it. That's the biggest negative for the S1000RR for me. Now, I feel like I'm missing one. We had Panigale, ZX-10, CBR, R1, Suzuki. I think we got them all, right? Let's throw in a bonus one here. That's going to be the KTM 1290 Duke. I have still not ridden or even seen a 1390 Duke. So, hey, 1290 Duke. The biggest pro on that bike is that it's a 1290 Duke. That bike is fucking hilarious. You want a bike that punches you in the fucking nuts and makes you question why it's street legal, it's going to be the 1290 Duke. That thing is just unsafe feeling. Nothing will make you question the safety and just general ability to sell it like a 1290 Duke / 1390 Duke, right? It's just a beast of a bike. It really is. And if you ever get a chance to ride one, I cannot recommend enough going and testing one. 1290 Duke, outside of just its unwieldy, just hilarious, playful, aggressive, everything, it's going to be the KTM package. I fucking love KTM, as has been, you know, stated in the past. I don't give a fuck that, you know, the reliability is shit and people hate the whatever, you know, fuck you. I love KTMs. The 1290 Duke is the KTM. It is the epitome of KTM. It is fun. It feels unsafe. You don't know why they made it. It doesn't feel like it should have ever been made. Something is just inherently just off with the bike, right? Boom, you have KTM. It doesn't feel like, you'll always have this back of your mind feeling when you're on one that this is gonna fucking blow up and shoot a piston rod through my head, right? It's part of the magic of it. It's part of what makes that KTM 1290 Duke so special. Now, the biggest negatives of the 1290 Duke are going to be that it's a fucking KTM. Anyway, I hope this was, you know, if you own any of these bikes, let me know if you agree or disagree. If you're considering any of these bikes, there's my opinions on them. Just, you know, little fun things for you to consider. And, yeah. Thank you.